Initially, the agenda of this webinar would be about us, right? So I'll tell you about Credila. What does Credila stands for, right? What exactly do we do? Then we'll go through education loan. What comprises of education loan, right? What are the parts of education loan? Why you should take education loan? Does it really serve the purpose, right? Do you derive any benefits out of education loans? Then I'll briefly discuss eligibility criteria, right? What all parameters do we consider while assessing or sanctioning or declining an education loan? We briefly touch that out. Then the documentation part, right? What are the documents which are required to avail an education loan? Then the sanction letter. Okay, what difference a sanction letter makes, right? I'll touch that. And finally, the Credila advantage, right? Why you should opt for Credila, right? What value Credila is going to add when you opt for an education loan with us. So this was the brief agenda. Now, to start with, what does Credila stands for? Right. So we are an SDFC limited company, all right, and SDFC Limited is, of course, SDFC is a $12 billion group. It's India's largest mortgage lender, right, and we are a wholly owned subsidiary of SDFC Limited. We are a dedicated education loan lender, right? So we don't do anything else apart from education loans, and it's one of the most fundamental. It's one of the most critical parameters that we swear by. Then we have a loan book of over 4,000 crores, right? It means that we have disbursed loans worth more than 4,000 crores. We have funded students across 35 countries, right, for 2,100 institutes and for 1,000 odd courses, right? So now this statement speaks volumes, right, so of the sort of students that we have funded, the sort of institutes that we have funded for, and the number of countries that we have funded, right? Predominantly, of course, USA, we are extremely bullish on USA. And after that, we have collaborated with the world's top schools and university. It's a partial list. You are most welcome to go to a website to check out the number of universities that we have funded. They include all the cream and la cream of world's top universities. Now, coming to the mainstay, right? Education loans, right? So, what comprises of education loans? What are covered under education loans? So, the first is expenses covered, right? So, what are the expenses? There can be many doubts about it, which I'll clear. Then the tenor of education loans, right? So, what would be the tenor, or how many EMIs will you get, or you need to pay out? Then, of course, some clarification that EMIs start after graduation. There is no margin money, and the processing time which we take to assess or sanction or grant an education loan. Now, see, I'll go back to this slide to explain your expenses covered a bit, right? So the expenses will include your tuition fee, the whole tuition fee, 100% tuition fee, right? Whatever it is, it's 30 lakh, 40 lakh, 50 lakhs, 1 CR. So the expenses covered would be 100% of the tuition fee. Then 100% of the living expenses, right? So living expenses will include your boarding, lodging, right, and all the expenses that you are going to incur, whether you stay on campus or off campus, right? Then the expenses covered will also include your study expenses, right? The books that you are going to buy, the laptops you are going to buy, your travel tickets, right? Your airfare is also included. So virtually whatever you are going to spend for your studies abroad would be 100% covered by Credila, right? The tenor would be roughly, it would be from 8 years to 12 years, right? And this is the most critical part. EMIs only start after graduation. So once you have graduated, right, once your studies are complete, then only your EMIs are going to start. And even after that, there would be a grace period of 6 months, right? So suppose you want to take up a job first, or suppose you want 6 months to find a suitable job. So, right, so we'll give you 6 months to find a good job, and after that you can start paying your EMIs. There's no margin money, right? So we'll fund 100% of your expenses. So primarily the I-20 which will be issued by the university, it will have rough expenses that you are going to incur. And apart from that, whatever expenses that you can think of, we'll fund that, right? Then comes the processing time. So the processing time would typically it's 4 or 5 working days for an unsecured loan, and if it is a secured loan or if it is backed by a collateral or a property, in that case we'll need an additional 4 or 5 working days, right? If the property or the collateral is located in a metro, the time frame would be 3 to 4 working days. But if it's up-country location, then it may take a bit longer, right? But because that assessment will depend upon the legal and technical assessment of that collateral, right? But otherwise, your financial eligibility, your course eligibility, all of the assessments will complete within 4 working days, right? So that was the processing time that we take to sanction a loan. After that, what are the benefits, right, of an education loan? So I'm just talking about education loans per se, right? So education loans, they offer attractive tax benefits under Section 80E, right? So what does it mean? It means that whatever loan that you have taken, right, it may range from 20 lakh rupees to 1 CR, right? Whatever loan you have taken, whatever interest that you pay towards fulfillment of your loan, 100% of the interest paid, it is exempted from income tax under Section 80E, right? For example, I'll explain it with an example, right? For example, suppose you have taken a loan worth 50 lakh rupees, right? And your monthly EMI is suppose 1 lakh rupees per month, right? So if the EMI is 1 lakh rupees and the interest part is suppose 80,000 out of 1 lakh. So total EMI is 1 lakh rupees. Out of 1 lakh, 80,000 is the interest paid, right? Suppose. Now, 80,000 that you are paying towards the interest will be exempted from your taxable income, right? So you can multiply 80,000 by 12, right? So effectively 9.6 lakh rupees of your income will be exempted from tax. If you are in a top bracket of 30%, you'll end up saving almost 3 lakh rupees per year, right? And if we factor in this interest holiday or interest discounting on your total overall rate which is being offered, your overall rate goes down by almost 3 to 3.5%. So suppose if you are being offered a rate of interest as 11.5% or 12%, your effective rate of interest would be anything between 8 to 8.5%, right? So such is the power of an education loan and the tax benefits which get accrued. After tax benefits, second thing is your positive credit history, right? So, at this point of time, some of you might not actually get tempted to think about positive credit history, but guys, it's extremely critical, extremely important, because all of you will start earning and you'll need you'll need credits in due course of time, right? And your credit eligibility will essentially depend upon your credit scores, right? So if you start repaying your education loans right after you graduate, you will have a positive credit history which is going to benefit you in days to come, right? And the third thing is safety belt against any unforeseen circumstances, right? So this statement is essentially for folks who have say who have cash in their accounts, right, or who have enough money in their saving accounts. So this is for them, right? So I will suggest that it's always better to have that money that you have in your savings to use it for family contingencies, right? So we never know what sort of contingencies we can face in future, right? So whatever liquidity that you have, whatever cash that you have, or whatever deposits that you have in banks, it's better to use them for potential contingencies. Any which ways you are getting a loan worth 50 lakh rupees, so it's better to use that amount for potential contingencies, right? And preserve family savings, right? There is one more statement which is maybe not written here, is which is of course my personal favorite. It's actually education loan makes you financially independent and financially prudent, right? And it has been proved with a lot of research, right, that once you have taken education loan, you will always have the tendency of becoming financially prudent, right? Plus you are taking your own financial responsibility. So it's you who are studying, right? So why to bother your parents to fund your education when you can get a loan, when you can get an education loan on your credentials, right? So financially responsible. I mean, this is one of the big traits. It's definitely going to add value to your character, right? And the punchline is education loan essentially it helps you to focus on your studies, right, rather than thinking about funding, because we will take care of that. What is the eligibility criteria, right? So how do we decide whether a student is eligible for education loan or not? Okay, so I'll talk about the eligibility criteria. Right. So first is there are three basic parameters. First is the student, right? The second is the co-borrower, and the third is the collateral security which is being offered, right? So when it comes to the student, the eligibility depends upon his past academics, right? Academics would essentially mean his scores, his grades during schooling, right? And then his in case the student has work experience, in case you guys have worked somewhere, then the company that you have worked for, the sort of income levels that you have as of now, right? Then your GRE scores, your TOEFL or IELTS scores, right? We'll consider all that. Second parameter is the co-borrower or the parent, right? Their income levels, all right? The sort of industry that they are in, they're salaried, they're self-employed, right? And then the location that the parents or the co-borrowers are based out of. And the third parameter is the collateral, right? So what sort of security that you have offered against that loan, right? So essentially, when it comes to collateral, we do take properties as collateral, which includes your residential properties, commercial properties, right? And of course, fixed deposits in case you have fixed deposits in the bank or with the SDFC Limited, we can also take that as a valid collateral. So these three are the basic parameters that are going to decide whether they are going to get loan sanctioned or not, right? And what would be the total amount that will be sanctioned for you. Documentation part, right? So what are the documents which are required, right? The KYC document, right? ID, it's essentially your address documents, right? Then comes your banking documents, right? Academic documents, whatever you've studied, your 10th, 12th mark sheet, your graduation mark sheets, your GRE scorecard, your TOEFL scorecard, or IELTS scorecard for that matter. Then comes the financial documents. Financial documents essentially mean the income documents of your parents, right? Their salary slips, their Form 16s, their ITR returns that they would have filed, right? And the third is the collateral. The fourth one is the collateral documents, right? The documents referring or regarding the property that is being offered as a collateral. So these are the documents which are required for you to avail or to apply for an education loan. Now, so what is a sanction letter? So people would always come to me asking, I mean, what is the validity of a sanction letter, right? So suppose if I am, if I have availed a sanction letter, how is the sanction letter going to benefit me, right? Or what are the benefits that I'm going to derive from a sanction letter, right? So the sanction letter, Credila sanction letter, it is a legal binding to fund the student. Legal binding means if I have sanctioned 50 lakh rupees towards your loan application, then I stand to give you 50 lakh rupees on your request anytime, right, for the next 2 years or 3 years. Second, sanction letter does not accrue any interest, right? So just because you have availed a sanction letter, you are not going to pay any interest on the amount which has been sanctioned. Interest only starts once you have taken the disbursal, right? I'll clarify this further. So suppose you applied for 50 lakh rupees and you get a sanction letter worth 50 lakh rupees, right? So you will not be charged any interest on that 50 lakh rupees till the time you ask for disbursement, right? So suppose out of 50 lakh rupees which was sanctioned, you place a request for a disbursement of 20 lakh rupees only as a first installment, right? Anything between 15 to 20 lakh rupees towards your first semester fee and expenses, right? So if you have availed a disbursement of 15 lakh rupees or 20 lakh rupees, then the interest that will be levied would be only on 15 or 20 lakh rupees or whatever amount that you have taken disbursement for. interest will not be levied on the full sanction letter, right? Then no compulsion to avail the entire amount. You can always say, I mean, you can always dictate, you can always suggest the amount that you are looking for, right? So suppose even if you need only 15 lakh rupees, right? No issues. You take a sanction letter worth 50 lakh, you take disbursement of 10 lakh rupees, and you will be paying interest only on 10 lakh rupees, right? Then somebody may ask actually why to need a sanction letter of higher amount, right? So at times most students will have this request to meet contingencies in a foreign land, right? So they would like to have a sanction letter of higher amount, right? So they have that contingency belt, safety towards that contingency belt, right? Then the validity, right? The sanction letter is of course valid, and we work very closely with the U.S. consulate, right? U.S. consulate journal, they are gracious or kind enough to come to a platform and address our students. So we work very closely with them. Our sanction letter is being respected at most of the universities, right? So that is not an issue. And last one is the solvency certificates, right? So the sanction letter is also valid as a solvency certificate. So once you give that sanction letter for visa interview, right, or you give it to get your I-20s, it will serve as a solvency certificate, right? Now, Credila advantage, right? So what Credila offers over and above the competition, right? So here we go. The first thing that Credila offers is unsecured loan up to 35 lakh rupees, right? Up to 35 lakh rupees, we do not need any collateral, right? 35 lakh rupees, no collateral for MS in US courses. Second thing, right, and it is the highest by the way. Second is loan approval even before I-20 or admit letter. So even in case you have not received your admit letter, even in case you have not received your I-20s, still you can apply for a loan and you can get a sanction. We don't need I-20s, we don't need admission letter to sanction an education loan. And it goes a long way, right? So we really do not want you to think about education loan once you have secured your admits, right? So there are more important things for you to do. Maybe you'll have to prepare for visa interviews, and I really do not want you to focus on finance part at that point of time. Third thing is 100% finance. I've already explained it, right? So every expense will be taken care of. You need not incur any expense by your pockets. Everything will be out of the amount which has been sanctioned. Home delivery, right? So education loans home delivered. Right, so you need not move out anywhere to for whether it is for verification, whether it is for document submission. Everything happens at your doorstep. Everything happens at your own convenience, right? So suppose you're more convenient in your office, you're more convenient at your residence, right? So you can always call us up, and a dedicated relationship manager will turn up at your residence, and he'll explain all the things to you. You need not move out anywhere. Then web-enabled billing and servicing, right? So you'll get access to the website wherein you can do all the billing and servicing part, right? Origination fee also you can deposit online, and once you've taken loan also, everything would be available to you online. Off-campus expenses covered too, right? So in case somebody wants to stay off campus, right? So that expenses also we will cover, right? Then dedicated relationship manager that I've already mentioned. So you'll be allocated a dedicated relationship manager. You can call him at any time at your convenience, right? And he'll help you out with all sort of things, whether it is a sanction letter, whether it is your help for the visa interview, and anything that you can think important. Then flexibility on collateral and co-borrower, right? So this is quite important, right? When you compare Credila with most of the banks, right, public sector banks for that matter, right? Most of the banks, they're not flexible on collateral, right? So it means that suppose somebody applies in Delhi, in a Delhi PSU bank, then the property that you need to submit should be in Delhi only, right? So suppose I live in Delhi, but my property is in Chennai for that matter, right? So I'll not be eligible for an education loan in case of PSU banks. At the same time, suppose if the property is in the name of my uncle, my dad doesn't have property in his name, and the property is in the name of my uncle, right? Even then, your PSU banks will not take your application favorably. But where in case of Credila, we'll take property wherever it is located, Suppose you live in Delhi and you have a property situated in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, right, Tirupati for that matter, right? We are very much flexible in that. And even if the property belongs to somebody in your family, right? If he's a blood relative, we'll be very happy to take that property on board, right? So we are extremely flexible on that. So this is the gadget notification, right? Why I put up this gadget notification specifically is because apart from the banks, right? Apart from the banks, Credila, HDFC Credila is the only entity which is eligible to give tax benefits on education loans, right? Guys, this is extremely important, right? I really want you to take education loans. I really want you to explore education loans, whether it is Credila or some other financer. No issues. Go out for education loans, explore your education loans, but at the same time also check whether the lender, whether the financer which you are approaching, whether he has that gadget notification, whether he's eligible to give you tax benefits or not. Credila was awarded this gadget in the year 2010. Before 2010, even Credila was not eligible to give tax benefits. But after 2010, we could give tax benefits because we had this gadget with us. This gadget is available with all our managers, right? So in case you choose some other lender apart from Credila for your education loans, please check whether that entity, whether that NBFC has this gadget eligibility certificate or not, right? You can get this gadget from any relationship manager of Credila. This gadget is also displayed on our website, right? So please check for this gadget notification. It's extremely critical.